Bicycle Coalition leadership. Staff here. Will all of the staff who are present representing members of council come up here with me? If you are staff representing Council President's office, is here, members of my cabinet who are present, Fire Commissioner. If you're a member of the Parker Administration Cabinet, you should be here with us. Let me start by saying good morning to everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us on today as we share some important updates on traffic safety improvement upgrades for the Spruce Pine Corridor in Center City, and to speak more broadly about what we're doing, the action to improve and enhance traffic safety for everyone in the city of Philadelphia. I first need to recognize and to thank our Managing Director, Adam Teal. Give him a huge round of applause, please, for all of his work. To Chris Gale of the Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia, its Executive Director. Chris, you are a Get It Done Executive Director. You're interested in what I have a great deal of respect for. Details, facts, and tangible results. And that's something that I'm extremely proud of. And you all who are members of the Bicycle Coalition, you should be just as proud. Give them another round of applause. It's not easy to lead. And there are several of the traffic safety advocates who are here. Councilmember Mark Squilla, where are you? Councilmember Squilla? Okay, Councilmember Rue Landau is here, and I see multiple members of my colleague and our legislative leader, Council President Johnson's team here today. Before we begin, I want to ask for a moment of silence, given the terrible news overnight that two people in New Jersey, one of them you all just read the article like I did, familiar tragedy based on what we experienced right here in our city, were killed by a drunk driver while they were riding their bikes. I'm going to ask each and every one of us, if we will, take a moment of silence. Thank you. It's terrible, and it highlights the urgency of this issue of traffic safety again here in Philadelphia. And our moment of silence is not just for that immediate tragedy, but for all victims of traffic violence. We keep them in our hearts and mind as we work to advance this agenda together. Advancing traffic safety here in Philadelphia would not be possible without a dedicated, well-coordinated team. And I want to thank a few of our key partners for the record, so that everyone who is interested in this issue that impacts all of Philadelphia, but very specifically those who have been actively engaged, they need to know that the city of Philadelphia doesn't do this alone. We have our Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, our own Streets Department, the Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia, our Office of Transportation and Infrastructure Systems, and the Vision Zero Task Force for leading the city's vision to reach zero traffic deaths and serious injuries. Give each of those constituencies a round of applause. Many of you who are present know that I signed an executive order recommitting Philadelphia to the goal of reaching zero traffic deaths in our city. And one of the first tasks that we laid out for the Office of Multimodal Planning was to update the high injury network. That was one of the first tasks. That network includes the 12% of streets that account for 80% of fatal and serious injury crashes. We are working to improving safety on every mile of that network. That's one. Next, a fatal or serious injury crash has a ripple effect across families, neighborhoods, and communities. People suffer from trauma and life-altering consequences of serious injuries, and quite frankly, the pain of losing their loved ones. We clearly need to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes in every neighborhood across Philadelphia, and that's essential for me to the people of Philadelphia who are not present here on today, but you may be watching this on television. I don't want you in any way, shape, or form to think that when we talk about ensuring that we eliminate serious injury crashes, we're not just talking about Center City. I need you to know that this is essential for every neighborhood, no matter your race, your class, your socioeconomic status, zip code, religion, sexual orientation, or identity. I don't care who you are. This is a city of Philadelphia goal. And that's why Vision Zero is so important. And that is why this work is far from done. Now, for those of you who are not as familiar with Vision Zero, I want to tell you a little bit about what is already going on, because I'm not going to assume that you just know. First, on our Complete Streets projects, fatal and serious injury crashes are down by 34%. Injury crashes of any severity are down by 20%. And we analyzed 3 key types of Complete Streets projects. Listen to what they are. They're road diets, separated bike lanes, and neighborhood slow zones. What do road diets do? They reduce travel lanes and they reallocate roadway space. Road diets had 18% fewer injury crashes of any severity and a 25% reduction in speeding. Separated bike lanes saw 17% fewer injury crashes for all road users. They are also twice as many bike riders who are on those corridors. And those neighborhood slow zones that you heard me refer to, they install what we call traffic calming and set a 20 miles per hour speed limit. Neighborhood slow zones have seen no fatal or serious injury crashes and a 75% fewer total crashes. Now that's worth giving that a round of applause. Again, the facts. Now this is important. I also want to address the changes in the Vision Zero funding in the fiscal year 2025 budget. First, for the record, we did move some funds. If you are here, I want to make sure everybody gets this. We did move some funds. $1.25 million to be exact, from the Vision Zero line item to what you just heard me reference as the new traffic calming line items in the streets department, specifically for what is one of the most demanded city services in all neighborhoods across the city of Philadelphia. Guess what we moved those dollars for? It's what we refer to as speed cushions. And they are also a Vision Zero project. So when we talk about we moved those dollars, it was for traffic calming measures. I don't mind the conversation, but when you have the conversation, it's important to me as your mayor that you have the conversations centered on the facts. Why? We were in the process of doing real reforms in streets, separating what you knew as the streets department, that was streets and sanitation. Well, we came in to reform the department. How did we do it? We separated streets and sanitation divisions into two separate and distinct departments, each of them with their own specific duties and responsibilities. So if ever the narrative is we did something different than the prior year, I want you to know, Philadelphia, you are absolutely correct. What we did with the streets department, you saw us do with licenses and inspections as well. And it is the organizational structure that best suits the vision that I communicated and promised to the people of the city of Philadelphia about what I would deliver if they gave me the honor and privilege of serving this city. Why is that important? And what do you need to understand about it? For streets in particular, that includes many of the traffic calming programs that make our streets safer. That's why we moved that line item into streets. It was never a cut of the goals and vision or priorities of Vision Zero, and I reject that line of thinking and or rhetoric. I'm going to repeat it just so if anybody wants to replay this part, if they're looking at a recording, it was never a cut of the goals and priorities of Vision Zero, and I reject that line of thinking and or rhetoric. And if you, to the great people of Philadelphia, particularly who are not present here on today, hear someone communicate that narrative to you, I want you to know it is false, and it is not accurate, and it is an untruth. Have I been clear? But that money is a drop in the bucket compared to the funding we apply for and receive in grants that fund large projects, that bring new, quite frankly, and upgraded bike lanes and other traffic calming measures to our neighborhoods. What are you referencing? I am specifically referencing the $45 million in city matching capital for the bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act projects, including in Philadelphia, depending on where you live, I want you to listen to this, in Southwest Philadelphia, where the SEPTA Southwest Trolley Modification and Complete Streets Project won a raised grant with $16.5 million to fund curb-separated bike lanes on Grays Ferry Avenue, Lindbergh Avenue, and 49th Street. Or in North Philadelphia, where the School Slow Zones projects won a raised grant with $4 million to protect children and pedestrian access points near schools. And in the Northeast, on Roosevelt Boulevard, where I have done a great deal of work as it relates to traffic safety long before I became mayor or a member of city council. That work dates back to my tenure as a member of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. It's the facts, the receipts. That is where the Route for Change project secured a major win with a mega grant that adds $7.68 million for safety improvements. Next, the Vision Zero Capital Implementation Project. The city secured a Safe Streets for All grant and will match with $4.7 million in bike lane infrastructure. Now, all of these complete streets projects are working significantly, reducing fatal and serious injury crashes when compared to similar streets across our city. These grants are going directly to improving our streets through projects like, and if there's anyone watching who is saying the mayor's being very specific and detailed in the remarks that she's making, you can only watch misinformation being disseminated in the community for so long before you say it's important for this administration to get the facts on the record. What are those projects? The Roosevelt Boulevard Route for Change and Planning, the Chinatown Stitch, and implementing the Vision Zero capital plan. Next, something extremely important to us all, and that is communities of color, lower income communities, older adults, and our city's youth all face a greater risk of traffic violence, including crashes, hit and runs, and other incidents. It's important to get those facts on the record. These traffic deaths are more than statistics for anyone who's just listening to the numbers. Why? These are our residents. These are our family members. They are our friends. They are our neighbors. And if you ever hear me talk about my city, our city, you will hear me say my people. And that's how we should all think about ourselves as residents of this city. Why? Because all Philadelphians deserve to travel safely. All Philadelphians. So what do we need to do? We need to work together so that we can build on our proven successes to fight the systemic issues of traffic violence. What does it look like, Mayor Parker? It looks like us all working together. The City Council of Philadelphia, the Bicycle Coalition, and all of our traffic safety stakeholders on other safety initiatives as well, and some of which are spelled out in a letter that the Parker administration has delivered to our partners in the Bicycle Coalition on today. We are confident that we will get to zero traffic deaths in the city of Philadelphia. I don't care who you are. There is no one anywhere who is going to change my optimism about believing that we can and will get there, because when all of our constituencies work together, I don't care how many naysayers negatively try to divide and conquer these constituencies. It is only when we work together that we can achieve great things, and zero traffic deaths is a goal that I believe is attainable for the city of Philadelphia. I want to thank you all again for your essential work on this critical issue. We have so much more work to do, and the goal for me doesn't change. The goal is to make Philadelphia a safer, cleaner, greener city with access to economic opportunity for all. And Philadelphia, it is such a laudable goal. I hope you've been paying attention to the work of other cities at the local, state, and even our national level, because you are going to hear versions of that safe, clean, green, and economic opportunity for all vision. You're going to hear it other places because it's the right thing to believe and to feel and to have for our city of Philadelphia. We are now going to hear from our managing director, Adam Teal. Give him a round of applause.
As you all know, our mayor is a tough act to follow. I'm going to give it a shot. Good morning, and thank you, Mayor Parker, for your continued leadership and commitment to work with City Council, the Bicycle Coalition and other advocates, the school district, churches and synagogues, and community members to find options to an issue that needs solutions that work for all Philadelphians, cyclists, pedestrians, including the children and youth now walking to and from school every day, and residents who live on streets that include bike lanes. So you saw me, against advice, wearing my helmet up here. And there's a reason. You probably can't see it from where you're standing, and some of my colleagues would say, well, we'll let them react. I have a really big lump on my head. And I will admit that, I have kind of a lumpy head to begin with. But I have an extra, very large calcified spot on my forehead because when I was 12 years old, I was riding a bike and I was struck by a driver who ran a stop sign. That was my first and thankfully so far only ride in an ambulance as a patient. But it wasn't a great ride. And I spent a couple nights in the hospital being observed for a concussion. So from an early age, I came to understand the importance of traffic safety, and I also came to understand the importance of wearing a helmet. Now, we are working to build a system of protected bike lanes where you wouldn't necessarily need a helmet. We're working on that. So I would encourage everybody, though, until we get there, and my colleague from the fire department, for me, as a 33-year emergency medical technician, firefighter, and paramedic, and I think Commissioner Thompson will back me up, wear a helmet. Ride safely. If you're driving, pay attention to those bicycles. Pay attention to pedestrians. I have lost track in my time as a first responder of how many crashes I've been to. And I'm not saying accidents because they're not accidents. I've lost track of how many people are incredible responders here in Philadelphia. Our medics, our firefighters, our police officers have responded to, how many lives they've saved in the wake of these crashes, and unfortunately, how many lives have been lost. One life is too many. So, what are we doing about it with the leadership and the vision from our mayor, from our great teams in Otis, from our partners with Indigo and so many others, the Bicycle Coalition, and most importantly, from all of you who are the users, the owner-operators of our transportation network, including bike lanes. I love this sign. Hold it up. I want to ride my bicycle and live. Amen. Me too. I actually have more bikes than I should, but that's a different conversation. So, who's counting? There are solutions, and we'll work together to get there. I want to acknowledge our Deputy Managing Director, Mike Carroll, for all the work that he and his team at the Office of Transportation and Infrastructure Systems, Otis, as well as our Streets Commissioner, Kristen Del Rossi, and her team, again, all the partners you see here. In a letter to the Bicycle Coalition, which we are presenting to coalition members who are here with us today, we are addressing the 3 requests in their recent petition. That petition listed 3 main requests. First, to fully protect the Spruce and Pine Streets and Allegheny Avenue bike lanes and other protected bike lanes throughout Philadelphia with permanent concrete barriers. In response, Otis, led by Mike Carroll and his team, has developed proposals they are discussing with City Council, the Coalition, and most importantly, members of our communities to increase safety on the Spruce and Pine Street bike lanes, and we are committed to begin that engagement immediately to gain that vital feedback. We are eager to finalize the short-term and long-term measures we can use to protect the bike lanes. The second request in the petition, to end the legacy practice of allowing parking in bike lanes on weekends. In response, our Otis staff is working with community partners to relocate parking away from the Spruce and Pine bike lanes, and this process will take several more weeks to finalize. We have received cooperation from the many houses of worship along this corridor, and we look forward to a full resolution. The third request in the petition, to replace all of the no parking signage with no stopping signage along protected bike lanes. In response, we intend to replace the no parking signage with no stopping signage along the Spruce and Pine corridor. This replacement process requires community engagement, which will happen simultaneously with the community engagement around the increased safety proposals. We are researching other areas where there are no parking signs along protected bike lanes and will review our options for removal. So in closing, we appreciate the Bicycle Coalition's continued dialogue around traffic safety and look forward to working alongside you and all the other partners towards our shared goal of zero traffic deaths. Mayor Parker is a fierce advocate for the safety of all Philadelphians. We are very proud that our pursuit of resources to implement traffic safety projects, now listen to this, will outpace that of any four-year period in Philadelphia's history, and we plan to build on that legacy in our work with all of you. Thank you. Now I want to hand the podium and, more importantly, our response over to Chris Gale and the Bicycle Coalition. Chris, here's our letter response. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Give Chris a round of applause.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate being here today. This is a big moment for us, and this is the start of a beautiful partnership that we want to continue going. So, hi everybody. My name is Chris Gale. I'm the Executive Director of the Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. I want to thank Mayor Parker for acknowledging the 6,000 petition signatures and 4,000 individual comments of people calling for better and safer bicycle infrastructure all across the city. These signatures and comments represent thousands of concerned individuals who want to see Philadelphia streets safer for people walking and biking. Street safety isn't a niche issue. Traffic fatalities are preventable, yet almost 130 people were killed on Philadelphia roads last year alone. These are real people with families and friends who will forever have an empty seat at their table. We, the Bicycle Coalition, are committed to working with the mayor and council, because only together can we make our streets safer for everyone. The mission of the Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia is to make every bicycle ride safe, to empower youth and adults to ride, and to foster a ridership that reflects the diversity of the region. That's everybody. In order to address inequities in transportation and to make bicycling safe and accessible for all, our city needs to invest in proven traffic calming infrastructure to protect people walking, on bikes, taking public transit, and driving in tandem with enforcing current laws. Traffic violence, our mayor said it, disproportionately affects low-income and communities of color. Creating equitable access to bike lanes, traffic calm roads, and trails will allow more people to get around in a safe, enjoyable, affordable, healthy, and sustainable way. I think I've heard that before, right? That's cleaner, greener, safer. Let's do it. For Dr. Barbara Freitas, Christopher Cabrera, Emily Fredericks, who was killed on Spruce Street in 2017, and the countless others who have lost their lives to traffic violence, we will not stop advocating until we reach zero traffic fatalities. This is a goal we can reach together. The Bicycle Coalition looks forward to seeing improvements on every mile of the high injury network, including Allegheny, Spruce, and Pine, so that no more families have to go through the pain of losing a loved one. Thank you to our mayor. Thank you for being here today. Let's work together. Thank you.
It was really interesting. For those of you who are watching at home, it's really different when you're here in person and you can organically feel what's happening. While Managing Director Teal was speaking, and he talked about our working together to accomplish one of the goals, and he noted for the record that community engagement would have to be a significant part of it. And immediately what we saw is what can happen in that process when we know that sometimes it can be a tad bit contentious. I want to assure each of you that while we understand that it can be contentious, Lord knows, I know what it's like to have to preside over a meeting where you have a very committed and passionate advocacy from one constituency for issue with the same, on the other side for folks who are against. But it is important that the voices of the people who actually live and are directly impacted where we want to make these adjustments, it's important that we ensure that they have their voices heard. And that's why, even if you've had meetings in the past, I just want to say this for the record, give your mayor a chance. Give your mayor a chance, okay? And listen, and then affirm that your mayor is so present on today that I picked up what you put down when you were listening to Managing Director Teal and what he said. I understand what that represents, but we have to give all Philadelphians access to the opportunity to have their voices heard. But the most important part of this process, and to Council President Johnson and Squilla and O'Rourke and Rue Landau and all of those who are present on today, here's Baldwin. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. The most significant way we as a city can speak to our commitment to ensuring that Vision Zero is a reality is by the appropriations that we make and that we agree on, and the investments that we make into traffic calming measures and other road safety measures here in the city of Philadelphia. And I make no apologies I want you to measure my commitments based on the dollars that we invest and what we tangibly do. With that being said, are there any questions?
Could you be more specific about what these proposals are for increased safety on Spruce Point and Allegheny?
I'm going to let MDO Teal respond. And re-answer the question, Teal. Re-answer.
The question is for more specifics about the proposals. Look, these are complicated designs in a complex environment. So we have a lot of very dedicated staff, and as many of you know, our staff at Otis, staff in the Managing Director's office, again, you can see throughout City Hall, our budget colleagues, we are also cyclists and pedestrians all across this city. So it is very important as we are creating options and alternatives that we are including the subject matter expertise from traffic engineers and others, the expertise from the communities that are users, including the cycling communities, walking communities, and the folks who live, work, and play in our neighborhoods. So these are not simple, let's just do this or that propositions, and that's why we are in a process, a thoughtful, intentional, engaged process to come up with specific proposals. And believe us, you can see, we're getting ready to go ride, so we understand that time is of the essence because we want to ride our bikes and live too.
Right. I'm sorry, wait, 1 second. Yes, sir. So he said it's one of the measures. He's specifically referencing concrete barriers. And let me just say that there are multiple recommendations that we have received from stakeholders. That's why we have to go through that community engagement process that was referenced, along with the subject matter experts at the state and local level, so we can figure out how and whether or not we can, as a city, adopt the recommendations. But I will not. I just want to be very clear, because I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Philadelphia. I've seen multiple administrations, legislative branches at the local and state level, when there has been a huge outcry from any constituency about a particular matter. And I have seen some people jump at the opportunity to curry favor with a particular constituency without having a concrete, data-driven research base and access to the financial resources to actually accomplish what it is that they're trying to get done. I need you to know that your mayor is not one of those people. All of the proposals that have been presented are going to be reviewed, and a term that I hope that you're constantly hearing in the Parker administration, that you heard Managing Director Teal reference, is subject matter experts. So qualitative and quantitative data matters, and the real life lived experiences of those of you who are present and those who live in the neighborhoods where these proposals would actually have a direct impact on their quality of life. With that being, one second. With that being said, I do have to state for the record that you mentioned that you're a cyclist, Managing Director Teal. I've got a confession to make. Your mayor is not a cyclist. I wasn't very good at it even when I was a child, but I am going to try it today. I've asked the people, I'm going to try. And we're going to be on an Indigo bike. It's the only thing I ask. Now, this is where I do ask those of you who are present, especially those of you who are going to ride with us. Your mayor's trying to demonstrate profile and courage by getting on the bike today. I'm asking that you go slow. And if anybody gets any reels of any unexpected happenings along the route, I'm asking that you all say, at least she tried to do something that she doesn't normally do. That's the grace I'm asking for as your mayor, okay? We'll take one more question. Pat, well, one second. We'll make you the last question, but I want to go back to Pat, because Pat, you had a follow-up. He asked it, yes, sir?
I lived in Philly just about all my life. Former board member of the Bicycle Coalition, and a former co-founder of the Neighborhood Bike Works. I have listened to 4 mayors, maybe 5, get up and pretty much say everything I heard now, and then use the familiar line of saying the community gets a voice in saying no. And I've heard motorists say no to me over and over and over again. And I lost something important. I wanted my son to be a cyclist in Philly, and I was afraid to do it because I thought he would get killed. He's now in medical school in another city somewhere, and I protected him from what I thought was too dangerous. And that's one of my big sadnesses in my life. And my question is, if Paris can do it in 1 year, why can't we? No more studies. Let's have some concrete. You said you know what to do. Let us do it. Let's stop it asking motorists if their feels are hurt.
So one, sir. Let me, excuse me. I was very patient. I heard you out, and I hear you. Your real life lived experience matters, and it will factor into this equation. But what I won't allow anyone to do is to measure me in my action or inaction based on what someone else did not do. When you measure this administration's commitment to the goals that were outlined today, and this legislative body, the City Council of Philadelphia, the way we speak, don't listen to what I say, watch what I do, you look in budgets. Excuse me, this is not call and response. But you have to look at our budgets, and now you have to look at our actions moving forward, and we will work together. One final question, Joe, you said somebody, Lauren?
And this may be something for Managing Director. The first thing you mentioned, the system that you were potentially looking to build, the protected bike lanes. Do you at this point have any idea how much that would cost, and would that come from the Vision Zero part of the budget, or would that be new money that you'd be putting in to build that?
All of the above. I mean, the system is all the streets, it's all the bike lanes that exist, the ones that are planned. So that is the system. The reason this is not simple is you can take what appears to be a simple solution without doing the analysis, without doing the engagement, and quite literally, you put in a solution at the corner of walk and don't walk, and you create a problem 3 or 4 intersections away. This is a very complex, interconnected system. which is why we have to be thoughtful about how all these different components work together. So the broader system is basically every street, every sidewalk, and every neighborhood across the city.
Do you know how much that will cost?
That's the broader system. Well, it's how much would what cost? I mean, again, that's the point. There are a lot of different things that go into this. At the end of the day, as you heard us say, again, already in the 5-year plan going forward for this administration, in the budget that was approved by this administration, this mayor's bold budget that was presented and then approved by City Council, in that 5-year plan has more dollars going to traffic safety improvements than any other administration in this city's history. We need time to plan this and do it right and work with all of you to do it right, and then we'll be able to answer your question specifically. So give us the time, give us the grace, and let's ride.
Thanks, everybody.
Finally, we're going to close. The members of council, I'm standing next to Tiffany from the president's office, and the final sign that I'm hoping, I want you to know, I don't know you, and I did not ask that gentleman to hold that sign up or write what he has there. But when you think about what that's, no, turn it around. I want people to know what the other side says. That's what moved me. His sign says, lead on something for once. That means don't be afraid to make tough decisions when you know that your decision making may please some and not please others. That's what I, as mayor, working in partnership with this city council of Philadelphia, if the council president were here and all of the members, I think they would say that's what we're doing our best to do, to lead on something for once. Thank you all for your presence. You gotta go slow.